Macron reiterates call for resumption of diplomacy to stop Middle East conflict, Putin's possible Middle East mediation role, and how Zelenskyy reacts to overnight attack on Ukraine, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, a coalition of killers. The latest news next. The Russian Federation this night launched a cynical strike with Russian-Iranian Shaheeds and missiles on civilian infrastructure in Kyiv and other of our cities and communities, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated on Telegram.
After the strikes on nuclear program facilities in Iran, there was a lot of noise from Moscow. The Russian leadership demonstratively condemned the missile bombing actions. Today, Moscow is silent.
He reminded that after the night attack, 5 apartment buildings were damaged in Kyiv alone. According to his data, as of now, 6 people are known to have died in Kyiv. 1 more person died during the strike on Bila Tserkva in the Kyiv region. Their Shahed hit a hospital. My condolences to all relatives and loved ones, the president wrote. Currently, rescuers are clearing rubble and providing assistance wherever necessary. During the shelling, facilities in 4 regions were damaged. In total, there were 352 drones, including 159 Shaheds and 16 missiles. According to their preliminary data, ballistic missiles which Russia received from North Korea were also used.
A significant portion of the drones and missiles were shot down by our sky defenders, but not all. And everyone in countries near Russia, Iran, and North Korea should think about whether they can protect lives if this coalition of killers remains and continues to spread terror.
How much longer will the world stand silent while Ukrainians are relentlessly slaughtered? How many more nights will families huddle in fear, counting the moments between explosions, praying their loved ones survive the next attack? How many more homes must be reduced to rubble? How many futures erased by the merciless hands of a regime that has no respect for human life or international law? Every minute of silence from global powers, every delayed decision is a green light for more missiles to rain down on cities, for more innocent lives to be torn apart. The supposed neutrality of some nations is a dangerous illusion. Inaction feeds the fire of hatred and destruction. The world must understand it is a test of humanity's conscience. When civilians are deliberately targeted, when hospitals, schools, and homes are leveled, it is a crime against all of us. It is a challenge to the very principles that bind the international community together. Ukraine is fighting not just for its survival, but for the survival of freedom, dignity, and the rule of law. How many more children must be orphaned? How many more mothers weep in silence before the world finally raises its voice? How many more times must the innocent suffer before justice is demanded? This is a call to action, not just for words, but for real, urgent change. Silence is complicity. Turning away is betrayal. The blood of Ukraine cries out for the world to listen and to act. Russia launched a massive strike on Kyiv and the region overnight. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs believes that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's goal is to portray the United States as weak, according to Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha on the social media platform X.
Another night of Russian terror against Ukraine. Hundreds of missiles and drones. Kyiv under heavy strikes. Residential areas hit. As of now, at least 6 killed and many injured people.
Sybiha stated that such attacks are aimed not only at killing civilians, but also at demonstrating the weakness of the West.
While Putin talks about strikes in the Middle East, Russia rejects U.S. peace efforts in Europe and continues the killing in Ukraine. Putin deliberately launches such brutal attacks to make America appear weak.
According to Sybiha, the moment for action has come. New sanctions must be imposed on the Russian economy, strict restrictions on Moscow's oil revenues, and secondary sanctions for those helping Russia. Ukraine also urgently needs support in air defense, ammunition, and the development of defense production.
This week is a week of important summits, and they must produce important results. We don't have time to wait. It is time to show transatlantic unity and strength.
Russian dictator Vladimir Putin can never be a mediator, as he is the one who starts wars, Andriy Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, says during a conversation with journalists.
The Russians can never be mediators. I've already told you clearly.
He's a war maker, so that's the reality we need to work from.
They must be forced into peace. Their concept is peace through force. They only understand force.
Ukrainian's foreign minister emphasized that now is the time for decisive action against Russia. He also called for the continued isolation of the terrorist state as well as the confiscation and use of frozen Russian assets. Putin wants to act as mediator. Recently, the Institute for the Study of War wrote that Putin is trying to divert global attention from Russia's war against Ukraine. The Russian president in particular wants his country to serve as a mediator between Iran and Israel. Putin's mediation was tentatively supported by former US President Donald Trump. However, Trump later advised Putin to first end the war he started against Ukraine. Meanwhile, political analyst Volodymyr Fesenko told RBC Ukraine that Putin has effectively found himself caught in a bind, trying to balance between the United States and Iran. After all the destruction Putin unleashed, their lives he's shattered in Ukraine, the idea that he can just step in and broker peace sounds more like a cruel joke. Even Trump, who once entertained the thought, quickly snapped back, telling Putin to end his own war first. Putin's just spinning in circles now, stuck between powerful players while the world watches and waits for him to stop causing chaos. It's infuriating and exhausting. How can anyone take seriously a man who brings so much pain trying to act like the peacemaker? No strictly military response can produce the desired effects, said Macron as he convened defense and national security chiefs at the Élysée Palace in Paris. The resumption of diplomatic and technical discussions is the only way to achieve the goal we all seek, which is to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, but also to prevent an uncontrolled escalation in the region. Macron is scheduled to travel to Norway later on Monday and is expected to return to Paris on Tuesday to chair a fourth meeting of the Defense Council. It will assess all the measures taken and the search for a diplomatic path to ensure control of Iran's nuclear and ballistic program, said the presidential spokesperson. Macron is then due to go to the Netherlands for a nation summit, which the American President Donald Trump is also expected to attend. Trump claimed to have devastated Tehran's nuclear program by bombing its three main sites on Sunday after joining the offensive launched by Israel on the 13th of June. On Sunday, Macron telephoned several counterparts in the Middle East and in Europe. He said on social media that he had urged President Masoud Pezeshkian of Iran to claim the situation with Israel and the United States.
I called for de-escalation and for Iran to exercise the utmost restraint in this dangerous context in order to allow a return to diplomacy.
Dialogue, a clear commitment by Iran to renounce nuclear weapons or the risk of the worst for the entire region. This is the only path that leads to peace and security for all. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Support Ukraine, like and subscribe.